in the section here, and we will try and get to them either at the end of the webinar or certainly once the webinar has concluded. To get started, we'll give you a little bit of background information about Off Madison Ave. My name is Carol Klimas with Off Madison Ave. Our agency is a full-service integrated marketing and public relations agency based here in Phoenix, Arizona. We were founded in 1998, and in 2005 we actually had the privilege of acquiring one of Jay Baer's companies, Mighty Interactive.
That was the greatest day in your life, right, Carol? That was the greatest day in the history of Off Madison Ave.
I think it has gone down in the record books as the greatest day ever in the history of agencies, yes. That definitely led to much more of a focus on digital interactive marketing with Off Madison Ave. And today we have 35 industry-focused experts, as you can see our beautiful office down here on the slide, many of whom owe a great deal of our expertise in those areas to Jay. Just a little bit about our good friend, Jay. If we look at his company, Convince and Convert, that handsome devil right there with your photo in your book.
I'm actually not wearing a shirt at all right now.
Oh, you're not? Oh, good thing this isn't a video webinar. We're just doing audio. Thank goodness. Right. But you did say it's, what, 78 degrees?
It's 70 degrees in Indiana. 70 degrees in Indiana. It's remarkable. It's still February.
That's definitely swimming weather in the Midwest. As many of you know, we're here to hear Jay speak to us about Facebook and email sharing a cab. His organization, Convince and Convert, is one of the leading social media and content strategy companies across, I'd say globally now, Jay. Can we say globally?
Across this great land of ours. As soon as we get a client in Belgium, we'll be good to go.
It'll be fantastic. Well, you do have 29 of the Fortune 500 companies on your client roster. Convince and Convert, the blog, is the #1 content marketing blog in the world, so I think we can say global. And you're now releasing the Now Revolution in Korean, I understand. You've got a Korean.
Well, it was released on my behalf. I did not release it in Korea myself. Our Korean publishers did that. I have no idea what it says or if it's even actually our book. The cover says the Now Revolution, but that's all I can read, so I don't know if it is in fact a faithful Korean translation or not.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm hoping for the best.
Well, for those of you looking for some English version of what Jay has to offer, he's recently launched the Social Pros podcast at socialpros.com. They're on episode 6. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend. It's 27 of the most riveting minutes of your life that you can spend either working out or in the car or taking copious notes if you are a good student of Jay's. So. Jay, anything that you want to push on the socialpros.com? What's the next issue that you're coming out with?
This next week, we are interviewing Jonathan Wichman, who is the global social media manager for Maersk Shipping out of Europe. And you've seen all of their giant containers on trains and across the ocean. They are by far the largest shipping company in the world. Multi hundreds of billions of dollars of shipping, and you would be shocked how good a company like that is at social media. So we're going to learn all about it.
Well, good. Well, and that brings us to our next offering. If you're not lucky enough to have Jay or Jonathan on payroll, we are offering, for those of you who continue on with us through the end of the webinar, we're going to hold that carrot till the very last moment, but we are giving away a free email integration audit to 5 lucky winners where we look at the social media landscape within your organization and make some good recommendations on how you can marry those two together. As I mentioned, there's going to be 5 free giveaways to those folks still on the webinar at the end of the Jay's presentation, and we'll choose those folks at random and we'll notify the lucky winner chicken dinner tomorrow via email. With that, JB, I'm going to turn this over to you because folks are here to listen to all the good stuff that you have to tell them.
Thanks, Carol. Fantastic to be here. I appreciate my friends at Off Madison Ave putting this webinar together and the attention and attendance of all of you. We talk a lot about this notion that somehow Facebook and social media is going to kill email. That hasn't happened, and that's not going to happen. I think we vote with our behavior, and 58% of adult Americans check email first thing in the morning, according to research from Exact Target. Facebook is 11%, search and portal 20%, so 58% of us check email first thing in the morning still. And as I've heard said many times, I did not coin this phrase, I wish I would have, it's a little bit difficult to say that social media is going to kill email when you have to have an email address to sign up for a social networking account. One of the things that perpetuates this belief system, though, is that lots and lots of businesses of all shapes and sizes and descriptions believe that Facebook is the place where you can go to get more customers, that you can create new customers out of thin air on Facebook, that it's the place that you can drive newfound awareness of your brand. And while that is theoretically true, it is largely not true. 44% of corporate social marketers believe that Facebook is a way to get new customers. So almost half of us, according to Wildfire, believe that Facebook is a place to get new customers. And it can be, but that's not its best and highest use. You have to think about how you use Facebook. Very rarely do you go to Facebook and randomly surf around and say, wow, here's a company I've never heard of. I actually have no idea what they do or what business they're in, but I sure do like them. I'm going to click that button right now. We like on Facebook what we like in the real world. Facebook liking is a trailing indicator of loyalty, not a leading indicator of awareness. What I mean by that is the people who press that like button, in almost every case, already have some sort of relationship with your business. You don't randomly surf around. Nobody is that much of a poser to be like, oh, I've never heard of these guys, but I like them. The only time that really happens with any degree of frequency is in an aspirational brand situation. So Bentley or something like that. I don't have a Bentley, probably not going to have a Bentley, but I like Bentley, so I'll click the like button. That doesn't necessarily mean that I have a Bentley. But most of the time, we like what we like. We like Convince to Convert. We like Off Madison Ave. We click that button when we've already experienced the brand. And in fact, research from DDB from last year found that 84% of the fans of company Facebook pages are current or former customers. Absolutely passes the sniff test. That's exactly how we use Facebook as individuals. And in fact, given today's announcements from Facebook, this is going to be even more the case. They've eliminated landing tabs. They've eliminated fan gating. It's going to be a lot more of an integrated scenario where Facebook is part of your overall online marketing initiative as opposed to a separate freestanding silo. And the changes they've announced today is going to make that even more true. So let's think about that. If the point of Facebook is to keep people who already have a relationship with you glued to your brand, to keep your company top of mind amongst people who have given you permission to do so, doesn't that sound an awful lot like how we use email? We use email marketing as businesses to keep ourselves top of mind amongst people who have given us permission to do so. Facebook helps us remember companies, and so does email. Now, email is Madonna, the original. A little tired, but the original. Facebook is Lady Gaga, newfangled, but essentially exactly the same. Email is Madonna, Facebook is Lady Gaga. They are the same thing, but with a fresh coat of paint. So what happens when Facebook and email share a cab? What happens when Facebook and email work together as opposed to working apart, as they unfortunately do in many organizations? There are 4 ways to integrate, 4 primary categories of integration of Facebook and email. The first one is in operations and measurement integration. If you think about the math of Facebook and email, it's actually quite similar. They're called different things, I think primarily because Facebook just wants to be difficult, but the types of metrics available are quite similar. In email, we call it subscribes. In Facebook, we call it likes. In email, we call it unsubscribes. In Facebook, it's unlikes or hides. In email, it's opens. In Facebook, it's reach, or the new metric, people talking about this. In email, it's clicks. In Facebook, it's engaged users, or clicks if you're putting some click tracking on your Facebook status updates. In email, it's forwards. In Facebook, it's shares. Reality here? What's one of the interesting things about this is third parties are picking up on this ability. In fact, Google Analytics, if you use Google Analytics, has a relatively new function, cross-channel tracking, where you can take a look at conversions on your website. So somebody bought something or filled out a form or subscribed to a podcast or any number of different behaviors that you measure, and not only will it tell you the direct conversions, so somebody came from Facebook and filled out the form, but it will also now track what they call assisted conversions. So if somebody initially saw your email newsletter, clicked from your email newsletter to your Facebook page, and then eventually from your Facebook page back to your website to sign up, Google Analytics will show a conversion from Facebook, but an assisted conversion from email. So now you can actually track the mathematical interplay between these channels, which is very interesting and sheds a lot of light on what's really true in digital marketing, because so often we overcredit the last channel and we undercredit all the other channels that have made that last channel conversion possible. The second way to integrate is on the channel and audience side. So how do we sort of build these things together from a programmatic standpoint? Well, first and foremost, we have to realize that inboxes are exploding, right? The email inbox used to be the whole game, and maybe you had some voicemails you had to deal with. But now we've got your Facebook inbox, we've got Twitter DMs, you've got SMS, text message kind of stuff, you've got LinkedIn messages, you've got Google Plus circles. There's a lot of different ways for companies to interact with customers and vice versa and with one another. And the trick as a business is to build sort of a touch point corral around each of your customers, to get connected to them in as many of these places as possible. So if we have somebody's email address, let's try and get that person to also like us on Facebook. If they like us on Facebook, let's try and get their email address and vice versa, so that you have multiple touch points. That's the best possible scenario. So the lowest hanging fruit in that area is to actually aggressively try to get email opt-ins on Facebook. This is the Facebook page for Nike Reuse a Shoe, one of Off Madison Ave's clients. They do an amazing job on all of the Nike digital marketing on the Reuse a Shoe program. This is their landing tab. On the Facebook landing tab, you can actually sign up for the Nike Reuse a Shoe email newsletter from right there on the landing tab. Now, the bad news is that as of a couple weeks from now, Facebook announced today that they're doing away with landing tabs, so we're going to have to change our approach. But whatever rolls out next to make this viable, this notion of aggressively collecting email addresses from your Facebook fans is absolutely a best practice and is not implemented by nearly enough businesses. The other thing you can do, we do this on our Convince and Convert site, is promote your Facebook page in email confirmations. So if you sign up to receive Convince and Convert blog posts via email, or you sign up to get our 321 email newsletter, when we send you the autoresponder email automatically, at the bottom it says, hey, thanks very much, you're awesome. Please also consider visiting us on Facebook. If you like us, like us. The thought here is if somebody has already taken the trouble to sign up for your email newsletter, asking them to click one or two other links to get on your Facebook list should be a pretty easy conversion. Think about it this way. When people are saying yes, give them more things to say yes to. On the opposite side of that coin, I haven't actually implemented this, but I want to. I just haven't gotten around to it. The idea here is that when people are unsubscribing from your email newsletter, hopefully that doesn't happen to you very often, but of course, usually every time you send something out, you'll get a couple people who are like, yeah, I'm out, I'm done with this deal. On the unsubscribe form, this is the profile center that ExactTarget provides for Off Madison Ave. At the bottom, it says, hey, unsubscribe from email. what you can do in that area is put a little link that says, hey, we're sorry to see you go from our email list. Would you like to continue staying in touch with us via Facebook? So as people are bailing out of email, give them the ability to get into your Facebook group and subscribe to your fan page there so that you haven't lost them entirely. One of the other things that's absolutely best practice and low-hanging fruit is to make sure that you include social media icons and things of that nature in your email newsletter. That seems obvious probably to all the smart people on this webinar, but it's really not. The majority of companies who send emails still don't even have Facebook or Twitter icons in their email newsletter, and even more so than just having the icons, as you see in the top right-hand corner, the share this email button or link, there's several different ways to implement that technology depending on which email service provider you use. Giving people social sharing capabilities in the email is an absolute must, because not only will some people email with their friends on Facebook or on Twitter, most often it's Facebook, but perhaps most importantly is that you can then mine that data. You can look into your email service provider and say, show me a list, oh great software, of the people who have ever shared one of our emails on Facebook or on Twitter. Now, click a button, make me a list of those people. So now what you have is a sub-list within your overall email database of people who you know are extraordinarily socially active. So the next time you have a Facebook contest, the next time you have some sort of promotion, the next time you have some sort of major call to action that you need your fans to take advantage of, the first people I would email are people on this list who you know, based on their prior behaviors, are disproportionately active in social media. Now here's what I said about this being obvious but not being done. GetResponse did a survey last year. Only 18% of corporate email marketers include social icons in their emails, meaning that 82% of companies don't do that, which is a mind-boggling statistic to me. Third way to integrate this is on the message side. How do we take the content of email and the content of Facebook and bring them closer together? Well, one of the things you can do is cross-platform testing. So many of you who have experience in email marketing may have done time of day or day of week testing in the past, and if you haven't done it, you absolutely should. Because when you send your email, both which day of the week as well as what time of day, can have a material impact on your email marketing results. You can take those results. Let's say you have an email, you have 10,000 people on your list, you break that list up into 4 segments, and you send your next version of your email. 25% of them you send at 8 a.m., 25% at 11 a.m., 25% at 2 p.m., and 25% at 8 p.m. I'm just making that up, something like that. Your results may vary, but you can take the results of that kind of testing and apply it to when you actually put your Facebook status updates up on your page. The assumption there is that if people are online, they are online. And given the fact that the mobile usage of Facebook is enormous and extraordinary, if people are checking their email, they probably have access to Facebook at the same time, even if they're checking email via a phone or some other mobile device. Conversely, you can do it the other way around, right? So if you do Facebook advertising, you can use some of your Facebook advertising to inform your email options as well. You can also do headline testing. So just the same way that you would take an email and determine whether Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday is the best day to send that email, you can and should test your headlines, your subject lines in email as well. So if you're going to send an email, this is one for FrontGate. The headline, subject line on this email is free truck delivery on outdoor makeover essentials. I don't love that. It's okay, I guess, but I'm just one guy. Ideally, what you should do, and perhaps FrontGate did this, I don't know, is they could create 3 other versions of that subject line, test all 4 of them, see which one works the best, and whichever one works the best should be incorporated as a Facebook status update or even as a Facebook ad. You can also use what's happening on your Facebook fan page as email content. I really like this example from Jay Jill, the clothing retailer. On this particular email newsletter, they're actually taking posts from their fans on their fan page and dropping it into their email newsletter as expressions of love and loyalty and enthusiasm really smart. People overlook the fact that those fan-generated posts on your page can be used in other places other than just on Facebook. You can put them in your email if you've got enough of them or the certain type. You can turn them into a blog post. You can certainly turn them into a sponsored stories ad on Facebook. But don't ignore the downstream content value of fan-generated content on Facebook. Now, the fourth piece of this story is actually the most important, and it's personnel integration. We've talked here about the fact that strategically, mathematically, operationally, Facebook and email are actually quite similar. But yet, in most companies, and especially in medium-sized and larger companies, the people responsible for Facebook and the people responsible for email are different people. Sometimes in different departments, sometimes in different cities, sometimes in different countries. And to me, that makes no sense. If we're trying to accomplish the same thing, keep our top of mind with people who have given us permission to do so, why are the email and Facebook people not the same people? If you're in a company that's large enough to have separate departments for email and social media, I really suggest that if nothing else, you schedule time to sit down on a regular basis and see where these operational synergies can occur, because I guarantee you they will occur. Now, we've talked about several ways to integrate social media and email in this brief webinar today, but one thing I will tell you is if you're going to adopt some of these things, don't do them all at once. Do not eat this entire sandwich in one sitting, because it will cause chaos in your organization. Tie Facebook and email together over time. Say, look, we want to try and tackle 5 of these things that Jay and Off Madison Ave said, but we're going to tackle them over the next 3 months or 6 months. Put a plan in place. Don't just go off crazy and change 5 things at once, because it's going to be really hard to isolate the impact of each of those variables when you change too many things at one time. So change them in sequence, not all at once. Integration drives relevancy. The more you can tie Facebook and email together, the more you can create messaging, regardless of channel, that's relevant for your fans and customers. And relevancy drives results. At the end of the day, it's all about relevancy. Your company is competing every day, every hour, every minute, and every second with my mom, my wife, my best friends, and a bunch of companies that I actually care about. So if you can't send me messages that are and you are going to be wasting your time. That's why Facebook and email should share a cab. As Carol mentioned, we're going to give away 5 email and Facebook integration audits to people who have entertained us and graced us with their presence in this webinar. They'll get emailed after today's session, and I think we have 5 minutes for questions. Do we have any questions in the question area? If you do have any, go ahead and type them into the questions box in the webinar control panel device. And
we have a couple of questions that folks might have typed in here, so we're pulling those up real quick. Give me just a moment, because I don't know if they're showing up on there. Okay, Jay, just a couple quick questions. You talked about that 58% who check email first thing in the morning. Is that corporate email, personal email, or is that distinction not made? Which I think is a really smart question, because how often are those lines blurring between our personal and our corporate email?
It's a great question. I believe, I was tangentially involved in that research. I believe that the type of email account wasn't specified in that research, because it really was a channel preferences survey. So I think it was email overall. But I think, especially with the prevalence of Gmail and Google Apps and things like that now, often it all shows up in the same inbox, right? Even if it's an email address or a corporate address or a personal address, it all shows up in the same inbox. And so a lot of times you're actually checking both. It's really going to be interesting to see how that shakes out because it has such abuse potential, right? I mean, that's always been the concern, and it's been admirable that Facebook has held the line on that for so long, allowing pages to contact fans. I don't know. I think it's obviously too early to tell because it's not really out there yet, but I certainly believe that in terms of the message integration that we talked about here today, it becomes even more important. Taking the best of Facebook and driving the email, taking the best of email and driving it into Facebook, and in fact the personnel integration that we talked about, right? If the things that you can do on Facebook become even more email-like, then it's even more imperative that the people who are actually doing email in your organization are on the same page of the playbook.
Right. Which I think that leads into one of the other questions that one of our attendees has, which is another really good one. So when you talk about the actions taken from email or Facebook, if this organization already has someone's email address, are they more likely to act, buy, do whatever from that email as they are as opposed to a Facebook touch point? So can you maybe talk a little bit about, if we're going to be pinging them, does it make sense to continue to do that ask via email versus Facebook, or both? Are they going to get annoyed with us and bust our chops on both?
Well, the mechanics are a little bit different because you fan page, and we can tell that they're really active there. So maybe we should create a different list in our email program, which is people who are subscribed but don't appear to think that email is their preferred channel. So we message them differently. I mean, and I think that's the holy grail. That's where this is all going. It's not really there today. You can get at it with some expensive software, but ultimately we're not quite there yet to be able to say, okay, how does this person behave in Facebook and how does this person behave in email in a unified. But that's where it's going, right? That ultimately we say, hey, Carol, we know that you prefer to interact with us on Facebook, so we're going to make sure that that's where we interact with you on. And I think that's the absolute end game that all marketers would love to see. It's just the technology won't quite support it yet in most cases.
Right. And that was one of our final questions as well, too, is that do people really want to be marketed to via more than one channel? The messaging is essentially the same, and the messaging can be the same, but the vehicle is so different, and how we act within that vehicle, I think, is a little different as well. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think the expectation in email is a little bit more, hey, when we sign up for this, we know that you're going to market to us, while certainly marketing on Facebook is one of the reasons you should do Facebook. Do corporate strategic consulting, we say, look, you got to make sure that no more than a handful of your status updates in any given week are inherently promotional. It's much more casual, and the people who are looking to turn their Facebook fan page into a tiny little coupon machine, it might work for 2 months, but they're going to be sorely mistaken long term because people are just going to tune it out. Email's a little different. People expect email to contain deals and offers. That's not to say that you can't overdo it in email. You absolutely can, but you got to be a lot more careful in Facebook about laying it on too thick, in my estimation.
Well, I think there was a good example of that recently where I forget what company it was, but they had put too many deals out via email and actually had to issue an apology email to say, essentially, sorry, we've spammed.
That's the great irony, right? We've sent you too many emails, and let us send you another email to apologize. I love it.
To apologize for that.
Yeah, I like it when I get the email that says, are you sure you want to opt out? Yes, I still am sure.
I do, I do. Well, Jay, that is the end of our time that we have with these folks. Thank you so much to everyone for joining our presentation today when Facebook and email share a cab. We also, someone has asked us to share a link to today's Facebook announcements, which we will certainly push out after the webinar. Hey, Jay, one last thing. Google
Yeah.
policy is changing tomorrow on privacy. I'm thinking about putting a bunch of random searches in my Google bar just to see if it'll mess with them. Yay or nay?
Oh, absolutely. And it would be a
Okay.
fantastic blog post, too, to say, like, do a bunch of searches about pianos and coffins
Yeah.
and see if you start seeing all kinds of coffin ads everywhere you go on the internet. That would be a great blog post.
It's a marketer's worst nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. Well, Jay, thank you so much for your time. We're looking forward to doing these webinars probably about once a quarter. So feel free to sign up, tell your friends, tell them via email, tell them via Facebook.
There you
Doesn't
go.
matter to us, but just tell
Skywriting.
your friends. Skywriting. I love it. Thank you, Jay, so much. We greatly appreciate your time, and thank you to everyone who attended today. And good luck to those five folks who hung in there to the end with us. Hope you win that free email social media integration audit. Thanks, everyone.